Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Mythic Banter. I'm here with SCUMBAGS, and we have a breadth and a wealth, and I'm missing the exact word that I wanted to go for. It's a chunky episode.
A plethora.
That's the one. A plethora of topics.
Yeah.
So you complete me, SCUMBAGS. You know,
hey, bro.
Just complete me. Oh, how you doing?
Oh, fuck. Good at you, bro. Good at you. This is episode 6, right? Or 7?
I don't know if it's 6 or 7. It's a good thing when we start losing count. It means things are going well.
True. Oh, I have one of my mods is busy working on an intro for us for the podcast. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Intro.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing what he's up to on that one. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to each and every one of you. We're very happy to have you with us on this Mythic Banter Friday morning, although you'll be watching it on Monday evening because reasons, I guess. Just be okay with that. That's exactly what's happening. If you want to not happen, if you want this to be easier and quicker, you best hit that subscribe button. Because right now, our editor is stuck at work, and our editor will only be able to edit the video on Saturday and Sunday. If you want this to be quicker, you want to get it more up to date, hit the subscribe button. It really does help.
I was thinking if I should sabotage the subscription call to action again or not. I'm considering
Dude, you're literally confusing all of our viewers. Like, I say subscribe, and then you go, you don't have to subscribe. And then we have viewers literally going, I subscribe, but I don't know why.
I specifically tell people not to subscribe because it's the reverse psychology strategy.
Yeah. But you also
can't tell me what to do.
You also confuse some of the viewers. Like Ferorius just fucking subscribed and unsubscribed and subscribed again because he didn't know what the hell he was supposed to do.
What a Chad. What a fucking Chad, dude. That's how you get it done right there. You do both.
I don't know if it helps at all, but all right. You know, if you want to unsubscribe and resubscribe, go for it. Any and all engagement is great.
No, I think unsubscriptions is probably bad. Every time somebody unsubscribed from the channel, I would see that as like a negative hit on the channel.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what YouTube sees as whatever. But no, guys, we're going for the big 500, right? We need to get to 500, not really for any purpose or reason. It's just that's where YouTube's first break point is, and you Yeah?
Are we past 300?
I don't know. I don't think so. No.
I don't think we're past 300. So here's the thing. First, we got to get the 300 because the first 300 people to subscribe, you're basically going to be like the chosen one of Leonidas. You remember friggin' the Spartan movie, bro?
Yeah.
The 300. You're going to be the first 300 of Mythic Banter. You guys, we're going to hold down the Persians on that tiny little cliff thing, and we're going to keep pushing them back into the ocean. It's going to be friggin' epic. See,
I like it.
That's what I'm talking about.
I like it. But yeah, we need you to subscribe because that's how channels work. You have to subscribe in order to get more of it. But we appreciate you nonetheless, even if you are just watching. You guys are fucking rock stars. All right, Rurikon. Now with, wasting a lot of time and obviously wasting everyone's time with our intros and discussions, let's get into proper videos, right? And proper topics. All right, first topic for the day, drama. Those of you that have watched all of the podcast thus far, we pretty much always start with drama because, well, it appears there's always fucking drama, like, no matter what you do.
Especially this year, it seems like there's drama happening nonstop. It's absolutely insane. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, dude, the problem is the MrBeast shit that's happened, I think, was the cherry on top because MrBeast was supposed to be the wholesome one, right? He was supposed to be the YouTuber that literally just did everything for fun, and because he was having so much fun, he was getting all of these views, and it was sort of every YouTuber was aspiring to be the next MrBeast, kind of. And then it comes out that he's pretty much, I don't know if you've watched MODA Horror's video from Some Ordinary Gamers, right? Now, I did a fuck ton of research for my video, right, that I did on the whole MrBeast stuff. It took me about 2 days to compile everything, and I thought I had caught everything. Then I watched Some Ordinary Gamers video, and I'm like, what the fuck? Where did this guy get this shit? Like, dude, he basically, with that one video, revealed that pretty much everything MrBeast is doing is fucking questionable. It is actually nuts. It's actually nuts.
I've watched some videos on the topic of the MrBeast situation, and things are getting murkier and murkier. I was actually listening a little bit to one of Mudahar's friends, actually, Oompaville.
Oh, yeah, I like Oompaville as well.
Because he was interviewing the guy who made the video that we talked about. I think we talked about this last podcast, the Dog Pack 404 video or whatever. He was interviewing that guy, and he brought up something which apparently a lot of the people for that video about the where he did the eye surgeries for people where people were blind and whatnot. Apparently, a lot of those people were already in line to receive the surgery, like either super cheap or for free and whatnot. And MrBeast just kind of sped up the whole process a little bit. And again, these are all claims, allegations. I don't actually know if any of this is true. I just watched the video where they were discussing this, and I'm just like,
okay,
bro, if that is what happened, that's rough, dude. That's friggin' rough. Like, it gets harder and harder to, because it's important to mention, like, I've often brought up, like, on Twitter, whenever people start saying he's just doing it for the views and all that stuff, I've often gone and said, it's like, yeah, so if good things happen from that, I don't care if he gets 1 million views and $1 million that he potentially uses for more philanthropy stuff, but if a lot of his philanthropy stuff
is just fake,
being, fake, I'm going to be stuck holding the big fat L.
But
L
I mean,
this is one here. There you go. I'll be stuck holding this.
But this is exactly this is exactly my point, right? I don't care if someone points to a guy that made billions of dollars, but then ended up feeding the whole of Africa. I'm like, all right, that's fine. The dude used capitalism correctly, made money while also helping everyone. That's good. That's how it should be done. That's how Adam Smith, the father of capitalism, envisioned capitalism to go, right? So I have no problem with that. I think it is actually retarded when people want people to help but make no financial gain nor, get anything from it. It's like, okay, no one ever does that. I don't know a single person that does things selflessly just because. The only time you do that is for your wife or your kids, right? Like, where you do something, but then even then you are kind of doing it for yourself, because if you don't do what your wife says, you get issues at home, right? So it's it's kind of like you're still kind of doing it for yourself. But anyways, the MrBeast stuff is just bonkers at the moment and not anything new. At least not now.
It's an evolving story at this point, because we're still waiting for more stuff to come out. There's still investigations.
I just remembered there is one thing that we can probably say on this that is new. Apparently, and again, this is allegedly, cease and desist letters are going out to people that made videos on this topic.
Yep.
From lawyers that apparently is tied to MrBeast. Now, again, this is allegedly, because we don't know. But if there are, dude, this is now, like, this is a problem, right?
It's like we already talked last time about how YouTube themselves tried suppressing the video. And I can confirm that this happened, because I was watching videos that were talking about this video. And you know how it is. You see the title of the video on YouTube, and you usually can just look up the title, and you'll find the video in question. You could type the exact title of the video on the search bar, and it would not come up.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was Streisand effect. Because of the fact you did that, people then started looking up the username, and they were able to find the channel. Yeah. And then the video exploded. Like, I wonder how many views that video has now. It's got to be absolutely
It has to be nuts. Last time I checked, it was like 3 million, I think. It's probably higher now. But it's not
8.1 million.
Wow, bro. I mean, that's crazy. And also, for those of you that think, oh, he's just doing this for money, this is a brand new channel. He barely even had 1,000 subscribers. He didn't even have subscribers. So
it'll be monetized by now. I mean, it has to be.
Well, depends. YouTube can take as long as they want to enable monetization on anything.
Yeah, true.
Right?
True.
So I can personally attest, because I made a video on this topic. My video, I removed every single swear word, even from the videos that I put in as evidence for the stuff that happened. I removed the swear words. I spoke about nothing but the actual controversy and literally nothing else. My video got insta demonetized.
Wait, actually demonetized or limited ads?
Well, limited ads is demonetized, but yeah, limited ads.
Pretty much demonetized.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering if they were actually not like, no, you can't monetize it all. No, they hit you with the limited ads.
Yeah.
So that they can say, well, we didn't demonetize it. We just
limited the ads.
To the point where it makes no money and doesn't get pushed at all through the
pretty much.
We just, we kneecapped it a little bit. It's like chop. We give it the karate chop at the kneecaps, and there you go. You're done.
Pretty much. And that's exactly, this happened to me. It took almost a full day for them to finally review it and go, oh yeah, actually nothing wrong in the video. You didn't break any of the fucking rules.
Doesn't surprise me. Like I said, YouTube is doing damage control because MrBeast is one of the golden boys, and they always do this stuff for their preferred content creators. It's just that simple.
And this is what makes me think that, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say this, I have no evidence for it, but I am willing to bet that almost every content creator on this platform that becomes a superstar. Now, I'm not talking about subscriber numbers, because I do think you can get to 10 million or even 15 million subs just ordinarily. I'm talking about the superstars, the celebrity status YouTubers. I would not be surprised if every single one of those YouTubers is an inside job, bro. If they're...
What do you mean inside job?
I think
artificially promoted their content?
I think YouTube amplifies that person because YouTube identifies that there's a potential superstar here. And obviously superstars is great for views. Because millions of people are going to be watching.
It's super easy to see because of the sheer reach of like these late night shows and a lot of the main Hollywood celebrities that came over. They didn't just grow out of nothing. They absolutely exploded onto the platform. 99% of them, and it was clearly intentional. And and you also see it then back when they used to do YouTube Rewind. All of these celebrities would be featured on it and stuff like that. So of course, they absolutely do it 100%.
It sort of, I was watching, someone shared this clip from Jacksepticeye, where this was a few years ago during a lie detector, where he said, MrBeast is ruining YouTube because all it is now is about views. That's literally it. Everyone is just hunting the next view. And I kind of think that's why podcasts have become this successful. Because podcast is kind of like the last vestige of content on this platform that isn't just overproduced drivel, right? Most videos that you get on YouTube is probably fake as fuck, right? Especially the MrBeast stuff now, very questionable. This means that almost every person that tries to emulate MrBeast stuff, very highly questionable. Most of the lifestyle YouTubers, who are the biggest YouTubers on the platform, are all fake. Their lifestyles are not at all the lifestyles that they purport to have. So podcast is pretty much the last place where you get just raw, just what it is. At my channel, because I couldn't be fucked editing or scripting videos. So you just always get my raw thoughts. And yours as well, based on what I've seen at least. Unless you script it to look real.
No, then I wish I had the patience or the time. But the thing about podcasts to me, I never really thought about it the way that you're describing it. I was just like, I just want to talk about video games. The first time I uploaded podcasts to YouTube, I was like, this is going to completely destroy my channel. And it did for a good long while. They would get almost no views. They would not get recommended. It was terrible. It was absolutely disgusting the way that I would post it. And this was something that I've worked on for the first podcast that I even made. Maybe not the first one, but the first time that I did the Third Fleet podcast with me and Gaijin, we had this thing where Gaijin was actually sick. So he had to cough. And so I was like, because this is the first episode, I need to make the best impression. I spent a whole day
Oh my.
A whole day
Silencing the coughs.
Removing coughs from an audio file.
Fuck, that's hard.
Because I was like, this needs to be perfect. Okay. Not only that, but I also had to learn how to do something for, because Gaijin didn't want it to be on camera for the podcast.
All right.
So I was like, all right. So I have to figure out a way to do some type of an animation. Nowadays, I'm much more lazy about it. But because it was the first one, I actually had to learn how to use After Effects.
Wow.
To like animate his avatar with a little glowing thing behind it whenever he would speak, so that there was some not that it matters. Most people put that stuff in the background. Nobody cares. But it took me ridiculous amounts of hours, and then I posted it on the channel. It's like, it's just not only it doesn't get views, it hurts all of the other content on the channel. And I was like, this is great. Let's do it again next week. And then I do it again and again. And again.
I mean, what are you gonna do, right? But no,
but the thing is, I love it. I love doing. I think it's one of the most fun. One of the most fun things that you can do is just like chat it up. It's fantastic. Same.
And I kind of enjoy the podcast as well, way more than making normal videos, because normal videos is just, it is fake. No matter how real you try to make it, there's always going to be an element of fakeness there, because while you're editing, you notice that you said the wrong thing, so you re-record it. So it's not raw, it's not real, it's not the actual thoughts that the person has.
Most of my videos nowadays, I tried doing them as like one takes. So I'll just I'll record it, and there's barely any editing nowadays.
Nice.
If I can actually pull it off, because sometimes or sometimes I need to like edit gameplay in post or something like that. But a lot of the times I try to just like, okay, I'm gonna pull up all of these websites. I have everything lined up, and I have the gameplay here, and I just go and I just swap scenes and do things all on the fly, and then it's like, boom, video done. If I'm able to do it like that, I will do it like that every single time. Yeah. It's just I don't have as much time as I used to have being a father and all that. So
yeah, no, obviously. And yeah, editing takes a lot of time. But all right, so off of the MrBeast stuff, we're waiting for updates, guys. When we have them, you'll have them. Let's talk about the other drama in the room, MoistCritical. Now, for those of you who don't know who MoistCritical is, his name is Charlie. He's a very, very big YouTuber on the platform. And almost always, I guess you could say, very milquetoast. Charlie is not a YouTuber that has very strong opinions one way or the other.
Except for the one time that he brought out an AR-15 in a previous argument with Sneako.
Oh, yeah. No, that's part of the drama here, right? But for the most part, he is... And also, he only brought out the AR-15 because Sneako brought out his handgun and was like, what are you going to do, motherfucker? And he was I don't know.
Sneako was like, watch my clips, holding out 2 magazines. And then Charlie had to go and be like, these aren't clips, these are mags. And then he pulls out a fucking machine gun. I was like, bro, the escalation.
I mean, it worked, right? But for the most part, he's pretty milquetoast. He almost...
So it's like, listen, Akalon, now every time we start arguing about controllers, here's what I'm going to do. Oh, yeah, Akalon, you don't like gamepads? How about HOTUS, huh? How about a HOTUS, huh?
How is that?
Escalation? Huh?
Wow. That is overkill for, something that could happen on a mouse and a keyboard, but never mind.
Bring us in.
Yeah, he's a milquetoast guy. And generally speaking, he doesn't have a lot of strong opinions on just about anything. He does share his opinions. He's an opinion YouTuber. But he and Sneako, this is basically the catalyst to this drama thing. They've had beef with each other pretty much from day one. Now, I do want to start off by saying all respect to MoistCritical for actually being willing to speak to Sneako. Most people wouldn't be willing to do that. Most people, once they decide they don't like you, you are persona non grata to them. They will take every opportunity they can to make money off of you, but nothing more. So when Sneako challenged him to a discussion, now Charlie made a video, follow-up video on all the drama, but basically let's get into what the drama was all about. During the debate that MoistCritical
Wait, the topic of the debate, by the way, was the age of consent.
Yes.
That was what they were going to debate about.
Yeah, and effectively, all of this...
always a fantastic topic to have on with the internet personalities. Is like, okay, we really need to address down the age of consent. Like, and here's the interesting thing. I think that a lot of societies don't even go by the age of consent. I think the age of consent in Portugal is actually really, really low. Like, let me just Google it out of
in South Africa, it's 16 if you are under 18 and 18 if you are over 18. So, it's sort of a shifting thing.
So the lowest minimum age is 14 years, set in 7 member states: Austria, Bulgaria, Estonia, Germany, Hungary, Italy, and Portugal. So the age of consent in Portugal is 14.
Yeah, but
let me tell you something. You shouldn't have sex with a 14-year-old.
No, but I think pretty much every country that has the 14 number, except for like in the Middle East, where it can sometimes be very fucking awkward, and we'll get to why that is. But pretty much every country that has 14 as the lowest consenting age will only apply if the person that they are sexually engaged with is under the age of 18, right?
Exactly.
So because
I think in the U.S. then they call that like Romeo and Juliet or some.
It's some kind of. It's probably some layman term, Romeo and Juliet kind of law or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, fundamentally, kids can still fuck each other legally, I guess. Which is still awkward and weird.
By the way, my personal position on that is like, listen, I think 18 is a nice round number. I think we can all like get behind 18, even though I was pretty much a child at 18. But you gotta draw the line somewhere. I think 18 is a good number to draw the line. 18, or if you want to be a little bit more conservative, I can see it being up to 2021 because that's like the legal age of drinking in the U.S., I believe, or something like that. So it's like, between 18, 20, like I think at that point you're kind of good. Personally, that's the way that I look at it.
I think 18 is a fine number set by the state, right? Because this is just government, right? It's when you will be prosecuted or not. But I think as a parent, you should absolutely be teaching your children not to engage in sexual activity until they're absolutely ready for it.
Until they're ready, yeah. I completely agree. Like, because it's almost like, okay, once I'm 18, bro, I'm fucking everyone and everything. I'm so ready. It's like, no,
you're not ready.
Don't do that.
Yep.
If you're thinking like that, you're definitely not ready. You should definitely not do that. I would not recommend.
I mean, the point is, and this is where this whole MoistCritical drama really go off the rails. I feel like in this drama, so let's just quickly catch people up so they know what the drama is all about. During this whole discussion, and it was a long discussion, Sneako asks MoistCritical, and this is within the bounds of the conversation. The conversation is pretty much all over the place, and there's a lot of hyperbole in the conversation. But Sneako asks MoistCritical, do you think it is okay for a 9-year-old to have their dick chopped off? That's effectively the question. And Charlie responds with yes. Now, Charlie did make a follow-up video, but this, by the way, is all of the drama. People lost their fucking shit over that comment. Charlie made a follow-up video where he basically said, look, I thought he was being hyperbolic because legally, you're not even allowed to have that surgery until the age of 18. So I thought he was just sort of talking in general hyperbole. Should a child be able to go for gender-affirming care or whatever? And that's why he said yes, because he was just sort of giving the hyperbolic answer. I don't know if I believe MoistCritical on that. I would argue that most people don't really have a fundamental position that is well thought out on this topic. The only people that probably do are parents, right? Parents will have a very well thought out position on this topic because their kids are involved in it. I have not spent enough time on this topic to really have an opinion. But anyways, we'll get to our opinions in a minute. So MoistCritical does make a follow-up video where he basically says, look, I didn't mean that a child of 9 should actually be able to get their dicks chopped off. That's not what I meant at all. But I feel like in this whole drama thing, while absolutely MoistCritical's statement in context of what he said and without his follow-up video that may or may not be true, was fucking reprehensible. Like, anyone believing that should probably be, like, sent to mental care. Like, how can a 9-year-old make that fucking choice? That's ridiculous.
And the worst part is... Also, there's a couple of things to unpack here, which is, according to his video that he did afterwards, he was saying that he didn't even know that the conversation was being broadcast for like the first
hour and a half,
40 minutes and whatever. And I was like, damn, that's you should always inform people when you're live streaming, and kind of sucks that Sneako just kind of ambushed him like that a little bit. But irregardless of that, you know, I don't know if it was hyperbole, if it was not hyperbole, because I'm not going to sit around and watch a 3-hour debate on the age of consent and the ages of transition, because that was the whole thing, right? Sneako was saying, also, you don't think that a 16-year-old can marry a 21-year-old, but how about a 9-year-old chopping his dick off? And I was like, these are arguments that are fucking stupid to begin with, both of them. So it's like
But you're hitting the nail on the head there. I feel like Sneako got off easy because of the drama caused by MoistCritical. In that debate, and I watched the whole fucking thing. In that debate,
good Lord,
Sneako actively admits multiple times, basically, that a kid should be able to marry an adult, because he keeps playing games with what is a kid, right? And then he goes and he says, so listen to the stupidity of this. He says, once a child goes through puberty, they are now an adult. And I'm sitting there, and Charlie is pissing me off because he clearly doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, because he's just sort of going, you think a 14-year-old is a physical adult? Right? And Sneako's like, yeah, if they went through puberty, they're a physical adult. And I'm like, okay, wait a second. Why are you allowing this cretin to fucking dictate what we're talking about? When we're talking about sex, right, and specifically the age of consent, because that is literally all about sex. When we're talking about sex, it's not just whether or not someone is physically ready to have sex. There is a massive mental component to sex.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the reason, by the way, the reason we don't allow adults to fuck children isn't because we're worried the kids aren't evolved enough yet. It's because from a
physical standpoint.
Yeah, it is mega damaging to a child's mental health when they are engaged in something that they're not fucking ready for. It is. We have all of the evidence for this. We can look at what happened to children that go through bad experiences with adults, and we see what happened to them later in life. It's not good. Most of those kids grow up with severe depression. They have a very warped view of what love is, what intimacy is. Basically, you ruin a child's life as a result of that. And that has nothing to do with puberty. It has to do with mental acuity. Where are you mentally? And by the way, we want to talk about that. Children don't stop evolving mentally until the age of 25. That's when your mind finally matures into what we would call an adult brain. Now, that doesn't mean that an 18-year-old isn't an adult.
I haven't
for the most part.
That part in my life yet, and I'm 42.
Yeah, same. I'm still, living like a fucking teenager. But that doesn't mean, and the reason I have to bring this up is because there's this new movement of people that is saying, actually, if you're 31 years old and you're dating an 18-year-old, you're also a pedo, right? It's like, no, an 18-year-old is already an adult. The things that you're talking about, the brain that keeps sort of adapting and changing and growing until the age of 25, has nothing to do with your mental ability to make decisions for yourself. Most people from the age of 18 can make decisions for themselves. They're not children anymore, but you do still keep progressing. But anyways, that's besides the point. So I feel like, and Sneako keeps changing the argument, and one of the big reasons for that is Sneako is Muslim. And in Muslim, if you want to be strictly Muslim according to the Quran, you should be allowed to marry 9-year-olds.
Let's just point something out. Sneako is Muslim right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Who knows what it'll be like next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, look.
Whatever happens to be the more popular thing, it's going to be like, Scientology's doing really good. Okay, guess what? Bring on Lord Zeno, baby.
I'll tell you why Sneako is currently Muslim. Because Muslims are allowed to have more than one wife. And Sneako wants to be a fuckboy. So Islam works for him right now. Luckily, and I should say this because there will be a lot of people that maybe run with this. While technically, yes, in the Quran, Muhammad absolutely married a 9-year-old. And while it is perfectly fine for Muslims to marry 9-year-olds, the overwhelming majority of Muslims do not subscribe to that view. Overwhelming. And I can say this because I have a lot of Muslim friends. They don't subscribe to that view. They believe that that was then. Things have changed since then. We no longer do shit like that. And all of that's fine, right? All of that is absolutely fine. So it's not the overwhelming majority of Muslims that believe that. But Sneako believes that because, well, he's a fucking retard. That's why it actually doesn't have anything to do with Muslim, but he does use Islam to sort of make this point, right? And there are other Muslims who absolutely agree with him there.
I don't know anything about religion at all. So it's like all of this stuff to me is like, I know nothing. You know, I don't judge people by their religion. I judge them by their actions and their behavior. That's the way that I look at things.
No, but I would be remiss if I didn't give Sneako's actual motivations,
some context.
Right? His motivations are absolutely from Islam. The worst parts of it, but that's what it is, right? You can't really take away from that. So the whole thing for me is just a sympathy, a symphony of errors that occurred here. First and foremost, I don't think MoistCritical has done nearly enough research on gender-affirming care or the whole thing with children being able to transition. Now, I'm not going to sit here and,
I think fundamentally the biggest thing about it, because like we can sit here and criticize Moist's position and all of that stuff, but fundamentally, the biggest issue with all of this is that MoistCritical didn't know that he was walking into a debate.
Yeah, that's true.
He did say that. He was walking into that, and he
thought they were having a conversation.
He thought they were just going to have a conversation. Hey, let's just have a chat, talk about this whole thing and whatnot. And then it ended up like being an online thing, and because it's an online thing, and Sneako likes being like, "Ooh, big bad alpha male. I'm going to dominate Charlie in this debate," and all of that stuff. And that's how things ended up going the way that they did.
I should be clear. I think what I respected about Charlie in this is he started the video off by saying he's not a debater and he's never wanted to be a debater. And I should be honest with you, being a debater is fucking hard, especially against people like Sneako, who aren't at all interested in acting in good faith. People like Destiny, also very bad to have as a debate if you're not a debate Andy, because they're not interested in engaging in good faith. What they're interested in is owning you for the views, right? They're playing to the audience, which is not actually what debate is supposed to be about. This is why I fucking hate online debaters. Because debate is meant to be, and this is where it fucking started in ancient Greece, it was come and let us reason together. The point was, we reason about a topic until we reach a conclusion that both of us can agree with. That's why you have all of these rules about fallacies and what you are and are not allowed to do in a debate. So an actual academic, scholarly debate would be super fucking boring to watch for the overwhelming majority of people. But, of course, most debate Andies aren't interested in that. They just want the clicks and the views. So it is ridiculous, and I think if I could give MoistCritical Charlie some advice here, just stop engaging with people like Sneako. They pull you down to their level and then they beat you with fucking experience. It's what they do. Right? It's what they do best. But Rurikon, I have good news for you.
Okay.
Your favorite streamer, your icon, your idol is coming back, bro. He's coming back.
The two-time?
The two-time is back, baby. As if nothing happened, but you, of course, did not miss an opportunity to tweet about it with just one of the most legendary tweets, by the way.
Dude, What an absolute Chad. So Dr. Disrespect comes back on the internet after basically confirming, by the way, because here's the thing. You know when people started lobbing accusations at him because there was that one ex-Twitch employee that said Dr. Disrespect was inappropriately texting minors. I was like, huh, was he?
Yep.
Do we have evidence of this? Like, or are we just going to like lob accusations? So I didn't say anything at the start. You know, instantly you have people that are reaction, oh, Dr. Disrespect is a pedophile, blah, blah, blah. All these accusations instantly lobbed out. And I'm just like, I don't know. Somebody said he is. Let's see the receipts. Let's see what's going on. So I'm waiting, right? And then Dr. Disrespect says, no wrongdoing was acknowledged. And I was like, ooh, that doesn't look good, because it would be a lot better to say no wrongdoing was done. No, nothing wrong happened. I did no such thing. But he was like, no wrongdoing was acknowledged. And I was like, that is very much legalese for they didn't find anything to lob at me, but I'm also not going to outright deny it. And then eventually the situation evolved and pressure continued mounting, and Dr. Spectre was like, okay, I can talk about it now. Were there conversations with the minor that every now and then lean towards inappropriate? Yes. And I was like, woo, so it's true. so it's true. So yes, you have inappropriately messaged a minor. And then he edited that Twitter post. Remove the word minor. Except you can see the edits on Twitter, and people are like, now why would you do this? And then he edited again and put it back. It's like, dude, what the fuck? It's like, just stop. You're spiraling. It's over, bro. So I kind of about it.
So,
but wait, let me just get through this. So after all this, you know, he says, "Oh, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go away, vacation, blah blah blah, but I'm not going anywhere." And then the day before yesterday, he posts a picture of himself, and there's a chessboard, and he's looking at the chessboard, very pensive, very, you know, very, what do you call this? Very friggin' intellectual. Like, planning out his next move. And, you know, the chessboard, however, has chess pieces on his side, and then on the other side, it's got checkers. So the implication is, I'm playing chess while you're all playing checkers. But the reality is that checkers is a much simpler game to learn, one which you could say even a child can learn, whereas chess requires someone a little bit older to truly understand, unless you're like a child prodigy, because there's a lot of chess child prodigies that will kick your ass. But anyway, I just basically said, hey, you know what? If that's what you're going to tweet out, I'm just going to go ahead and made something like, if it was a quote, he said, I wanted to play chess, but the kids only knew how to play checkers, but I made it work. Because I'm the 2-time back-to-back chess champion at beating kids playing checkers. It's like, bro, get the fuck out of here, bro. Leave the internet, okay?
Can
Stop.
I just ask, Naomi, please put that on the screen. Show the viewers. They need to see that tweet. That was legendary. That was like one of the best tweets I've ever seen in response to this. So absolutely well played on that one. But you know what? At the time, and even now, I still want to see the logs of this, right? Because fundamentally, there's something going on here that still eats at me. If Dr. Disrespect did indeed have inappropriate conversations with a minor, then there must have been some kind of legal battle, right? And I'm not talking about Dr. Disrespect suing Twitch or Twitch, you know, opening a legal case against Dr. Disrespect. I'm talking about Twitch is by law required to involve the authorities at that point, because it is not up to Twitch to determine whether or not wrongdoing occurred. It's a legal matter, right? And it's a law matter at that point. So that's where you go to the Attorney General or you go to the FBI or whoever the fuck, and they have to investigate this to see if something actually occurred. Which and I don't think Twitch, just FYI, would have not done that. Because the risk of not doing that is literally having the FBI close your fucking shit down. right? Because if you are found to be a site that harbors minor people, you're fucked. Like that's the end of business for you.
It's like I don't know anymore, because following up on this, the same person and other people that have worked on the same product where he was caught, because the product he was caught is something called Twitch Whispers, which apparently is like some DM functionality on Twitch. I've never used it, so I don't know.
There's still the DMs on Twitch should actually just go away.
Yeah.
They should just
go
DMs
away. DMs on Twitch.
Yeah.
But I think there's DMs on Twitch still, because I remember doing DMs. But when I did DMs on Twitch, which would usually be like other content creators asking me for stuff or me asking them for stuff, but like they weren't called Whispers at the time, as far as I'm aware, because they were very specific saying that this was a Twitch product called Whispers. But anyway, there were more people that worked on that product, and they came out and they said, there's way more of this. Like one of the lead guys that was working there, who's not working there anymore, he said that every day that he would go into work and look at Whispers, he would get sick to his stomach. There were a bunch of sick fucking people on the website. And I was like, why are you protecting these people? Like, what the fuck is going on? If there's inappropriate conversations with minors, I'm not saying publish the logs, but
publish the logs.
Those logs. No. What do you do when you send it to authorities? Like, send that shit to the authorities.
No.
Like, these people don't need to be trialed in the court of public opinion, because we've all seen how that doesn't always work and creates a lot of weird situations and several points where we've seen people being accused of shit that they hadn't actually done. Like, I remember a while back there was like the Pro Jared situation, and there's been other situations like that where people have been accused of shit that they haven't done because they were getting trialed in the court of public opinion. But it's like, release this to the authorities, and then the authorities should make a statement. It's like, okay, so this person was, caught inappropriately messaging a minor, and here's what we're going to do about it, and boom, done. But have the law sort out that situation. That's what I'm saying.
You see,
the problem is, if you're not releasing these logs that they're saying that like, oh yeah, I've seen this shit, it's so much worse. Yeah, these need to be handed to the authorities. Like, that simple. Why are we protecting these individuals? Because basically, Dr. Disrespect was allowed to go back to YouTube, get monetized on YouTube, and he could continue being a predator there, because of course he has underaged audience, because that's his whole fucking demographic. Well, not the whole of them, but a decent chunk of them.
Of course. I would just say, I don't know. This is why I want this matter to go to the authorities, because it all depends on, there's a great big fuck up. I don't know the American law on this. I do know what happens in South Africa. So in South Africa, you can message a minor. You can even have sexual messages with a minor. You can't exchange pictures, though. The second pictures are exchanged, it's child pornography, and then fucking to the slammer with you. I don't know if that law's changed, but a few years ago, I spoke to a lawyer friend who said, yeah, the law has no, there's nothing wrong with you and a minor chatting and doing sex, and it could be similar in the US, where the only time they'll go after you for criminal offense is if you send pictures or if you actually meet up with the minor. I don't know. I genuinely do not know what the law is, and that's the only thing. That's why I want this to be made public, because we deserve to know. Did they sext each other? Because that's fucking disgusting, right? Or was it genuinely just inappropriate jokes? So in other words, Dr. Disrespect would make a joke that was very sexual, but it was obviously a joke, right? And it was meant to just be a joke. If that's the case, still fucking disturbing, but not as bad as sexting each other, right? I want to know what transpired there. Because what bothers me is that his wife is still with him after all of this. His wife has not left him, as far as I know, at least, or maybe that's changed now. So what happened? And I think, even if we don't see the logs, I think parents specifically, I actually don't think parents should allow their kids on Twitch, if I'm very honest with you. I don't even think, and I know Asmongold, I know this wasn't even on the topic for today, but I will just point this out. Asmongold said this. He got a lot of flack for this, but I fundamentally agree with Asmongold on this. I don't think kids should be allowed on the internet. I just don't. I think the internet is just too much of a dangerous place. The problem is, at least in public, you can keep an eye on your kid and you can see who approaches your kid. You can see if someone is looking at your kid funny and weird. On the internet, you can't do that. You can't be around 24/7 to see what your child is up to. And you don't know how many evil people may or may not. Now, I know it's a nice thing to say, why can't, no, kids are fine. You should just stop being weird. The problem is people are never going to stop being fucking weird, right?
Yeah. It's like, oh, dark alleys are fine. People just need to stop murdering each other. Yeah, sure. Why don't you go to a dark alley and fucking find out? Yeah. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Stay out of
fucking. I can tell you right now. My kid doesn't have access to Discord. My kid doesn't even play fucking Fortnite. He doesn't play Fortnite. Doesn't play Minecraft online. He doesn't. He doesn't play any like online mobile games or any shit like that. I very carefully monitor, and I'm just saying my kid singular because I'm just talking about my son. My daughter is still a little bit too young. She doesn't care that much about that shit. So the stuff that he does do online is like he watches YouTube Kids, which even that I'm not a big fan of because I've noticed that there's some YouTube kid videos, dude, that's a whole fucking rabbit hole that we can go down into. They're so psychologically manipulative. Like, just real quick, there was this one video where they had this, it was an egg and it would be covered like in Play-Doh. And so the person would slowly peel away the Play-Doh and then they open up the egg and there's like toys and shit inside the egg. And I've noticed my kid kept watching these videos at one point, and I was like, I don't like you watching this. You need to stop. And he's like, no, I need to see what's inside the egg. Like, he was fucking locked in.
Yeah.
Like that shit, because there's something primal about it. It's almost like opening a loot box, right? And because they're doing it very slowly and deliberate, there's something super primal in our brain about it.
Yeah.
He was like fucking locked in. And the one time I tried controlling it, he was like, oh, I need to see it. And I was like, oh no, I'm putting a stop to that shit right now. I don't care if you cuss me out for the rest of your fucking life. I'm putting a stop to that. And when you're 18, you can go and you can watch all these fucking egg videos that you want. But while you're a minor, no, you're under my responsibility and you ain't watching shit.
Fucking
the problem
good,
is
mate.
that nowadays, a lot of parents, they just like, they'll straight up put a fucking
iPad in front of their kid and just
an iPad in front of the kid and they just let him at it. And it's like, you can't do that because nowadays there's too many corporations with a vested interest in basically breaking your child's mind so that they become obedient little consumers. Yeah. So my kid is a fucking rebel and he doesn't like it when I take shit like this away, but he's beginning to understand because it's bad for him. So I heavily control like his online consumption and all of that bullshit, which, it leads to awkward social situations where all the other kids are like, oh, you don't play Fortnite? And my kid's like, no, I play Super Mario. And I was like, good. That's exactly the way that it should fucking be.
But
I do let him play Minecraft though, because I think Minecraft's really cool. And Minecraft actually develops your brain quite a bit.
Yeah. So, I will say, though, we have so much research coming out now, thanks to Jonathan Haidt, who is one of the leading experts on this social media thing and what it does to kids. We have the evidence now that social media is fucking terrible for kids. Instagram and TikTok is like a death sentence to young girls. The suicide
even
rates
adults.
Even adults, it's terrible for adults. The problem is we are seeing a spike in suicide rates or attempted suicides for young girls under the age of 18 as a result of Instagram and TikTok and sites like that. Because you have to think about this, right? You're a young girl, and I was never a young girl, but I have friends who were young girls, and they all say the exact same thing. Around about the age of 12 to 16, and I remember as a young boy, girls go through a very awkward phase, where they have pimples all over their face, or they look a little bit weird. They're children sort of going into adulthood, but not quite yet there. And now, everything is about self-image. Everything is about how do you view yourself. Now you're putting your pictures out on the internet. You don't get as much likes as your friend, so this creates some kind of weird fucking warp in your mind. Now you're trying to do better because you need more likes than your friend, people are saying very mean shit to you. You're probably getting some predators into the conversation there as well. It's just terrible for kids. For young boys, I think it's the same thing. We should not allow kids on the internet. Jonathan Haidt, actually, they're working with schools now in America where they're trying to get the parents in the schools, to ban mobile phones from school.
Yeah.
To basically get mobile phones out of the school. And they're working with the parents to say to the parents, don't give your child a mobile phone. And what they found is when about 50% of the parents don't buy their kids mobile phones, the other kids who have mobile phones start leaving their phones at home anyway. Because now the cool thing becomes not having the phone, because almost everyone doesn't have a phone, right? And the kid doesn't want to be the only one with a phone.
The problem is that people want to be so in control of everything, but they don't. It's not really control. They just want to like hand off their kids' education to a fucking device. It's so weird to me whenever I'm going through the supermarket and you just see a kid like standing on the sat on the cart. I just saw one of these the other day. He just sat on the cart playing fucking mobile games on his iPad, completely zoned the fuck out, has no idea what's happening around him. Like, look, when I'm going to the supermarket, is it annoying as shit when I have my kids with me? You better believe it, because you're like, Dad, buy this, Dad, buy that, Dad, the thing over there, Dad, this, that. And they're just like firing off on all cylinders. And it's annoying as shit. But guess what? At least their brain is actively engaged in something that isn't just like vegging out in front of a fucking screen. Okay?
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about this for hours because it is something I love watching. But I would, like, to all the viewers, check out Jonathan Haidt. Phenomenal. Just to see the research that's been done on this and the work that they're trying to do to get schools to get rid of the mobile phones, so that kids can once again become fucking kids. Because there's a lot of utility for kids to play without mobile phones, and to grow, because we learn by playing. But anyways, this is a gaming podcast, and we've spent almost an hour talking about everything but gaming.
This drama segment was way too long.
But there was a lot of drama. There's a lot of things that we had to get through. So, on to, I wish I could say good news, but the drama basically continues into the gaming industry as well. So, Bungie has done some interesting things. Can you... I know you're more into probably the Destiny stuff than I am. So I'll let you run with it.
I've been following Destiny for quite some time because I played the original Destiny. I thought it was really fun. Then I also played Destiny 2 all the way into the moment where you actually got to rating. Then there was a drama with what Bungie was doing. I already talked about it in the podcast at some point with the whole EXP nerf and whatnot, which made me really upset, and I never touched the game again. And since then, I've always been very wary of Bungie because there was the whole thing where Bungie was under Activision. And eventually they were like, oh, we're gonna escape the clutches of Activision. And there was like almost a hint of hope because like, oh my God, now things are actually going to improve. Things got worse, way worse. They grossly over monetized shit. Basically, it seems like Bobby Kotick was actually holding off the greed from their CEO significantly. And here's an interesting thing. About 8 months ago, because I actually looked up the video. About 8 months ago, they fired a bunch of people from Bungie. Not only they fired them, they fucked them out of their pay because they had like shares in the company. And basically, it was one day before they could cash out those shares and actually make money. They fucking fired them and took their shares away from them, except this was a little bit reported back then, but nobody paid that much attention to it, which I'm like, that's fucking great. That's fantastic. Good job. Okay. Good job. IGN and fucking Kotaku and all that bullshit. Good job calling out all the industry bullshit, but whatever. But, so they fired a bunch of people, and it was interesting because back then I made a video and a lot of people gave me shit over the video that I've made. But basically, as people were losing their jobs, the title of my video was Bungie fucking had it coming. Because they fucking did. They fucking did. I don't give a fuck. Now, I do care about the people losing their jobs. It fucking sucks. It sucks. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I do. I genuinely do. I'm very empathetic for the people that are now, going out into the market, because fundamentally understand that a lot of these people that are getting fired, they're going to leave the gaming industry as a whole. They're done with it because they might have already been through multiple jobs. And so we are fundamentally losing a lot of talent, because for all of my criticisms of the disgusting monetization that Destiny does, which it is fucking disgusting. Like, did you know, Akalon, that in Destiny you can buy an expansion and it doesn't include the main dungeon of said expansion?
Oh yeah, I heard of that.
You buy that bitch separately.
But that's standard practice. No, that's standard practice nowadays. Hey, everyone's going to be doing that.
Fuck them.
They're just ahead of the curve, bro. They're just ahead of the curve. It's coming to all of your favorite games. I can envision. Who was it? Fuck. It wasn't even on the list, but someone said it. Oh, Logitech. Just very quickly. Oh, yeah. Logitech is playing around with the idea of a subscription-based mouse. You pay a subscription.
And the worst part is I like Logitech mice. And I'm just like, bro, what are you doing? It's like, because you know how everybody loves Razer? Everybody fucking loves to gargle on Razer's nuts. They're like, oh, yeah, Razer, so good. Every time people talk about mice, they're like, oh, Razer. And let me tell you something, okay? I've bought fucking 4, maybe 5 Razer mice. They all die within a year or two. All of them. They fucking die like that. And I know that people are going to say, oh, it's because you're abusive and blah, blah, blah. Motherfucker, I've had this Logitech mouse for ever since Paragon was a thing, because this is a Paragon branded mouse that they gave to me when I was covering Paragon. I don't even remember how long ago that was, but it was fucking years. And it sure as hell wasn't 2 or 1 year where all of my Razer mice died, okay? So get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Because people always like to say, oh, it's because of the way you use your devices. No, it's because the Razer devices are shit. That's
I have heard.
Like, I like Logitech mice, but the idea of a fucking forever mouse.
I used to be a huge fan of Logitech mice because they had the G600, which is the MMO mouse. They were the original MMO mouse guys, but then they discontinued the G600, and I switched to Corsair Scimitar, and pretty good mouse. But now I'm eyeing SteelSeries. I want to switch over to SteelSeries.
It's pretty good
because
I also have a SteelSeries mouse. They're good.
But they have an MMO mouse that is wireless, and I'm like, fuck yes.
Wireless, no, dude, you need it wireless.
Bro,
but anyway,
no.
That's different discussion.
But anyways,
on topic.
Yeah, I just quickly before you go, just on the Razer thing, from what I've heard. Now, this is not from me because I have the exact same fucking experience as you. I had the Razer Naga. I had the Razer Naga version 2. I had another Razer Naga. All of them, within a year and a half, starts double-clicking. And you can't fucking stop it. It just double-clicks to fuck. And then I synced it in to Razer. And they synced it back to me and said it's not double-clicking. And I was like, dude, what are you talking about? I am double-clicking with this mouse right now. No, it's not double-clicking.
I can't wait for all the Razer garglers to come up into the comment section going like, Razer's actually really good. So good. It's like, get Razer's dick out of your mouth before you talk to me, okay?
But what I will say, I've spoken to a couple of people that I trust who also, like me, didn't like Razer and then bought Razer products. And they do say that Razer have significantly stepped up their game. They let go of because they used to have mechanical keyboards that wasn't RAID switches. It was or cherry switches. It was their own switch that they would put in there and it would just break. They completely stopped that. They're now using cherry switches in their keyboards. Apparently the quality has gone way up at Razer. I don't know.
I don't trust them.
Yeah, the same here.
Those guys.
They've kind of lost my business as well. But anyways, back to the Bungie stuff.
We're basically sabotaging our potential sponsors, which I think is a very good thing to do. So make sure to subscribe, guys.
Yeah. Well, I
sure as fuck we're not brand safe.
I will say, if Razer wants to sponsor me or this podcast ever, they're going to have to send me their products and they're going to have to give me 2 years to taste it out. And if that thing fucking gives one iota of a problem within the 2 years, the sponsorship's off.
Yeah,
I don't trust that company, so I couldn't give 2 fucks if they blacklist me.
back to the Bungie situation. So my take on it was, it sucks that people, this was 8 months ago. It sucks that people are losing their jobs, but what the monetization practices that they are doing are so fucking aggressive that the Bungie just needs to fucking burn to the ground and die. I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry. I just keep saying it like it is. They need to burn to the ground and die and become a fucking cautionary tale of what happens when you get too greedy. They need to be the perfect example of pigs get fed and hogs get slaughtered. That's what fucking needs to happen. Because now, with their absolute unbridled greed in which they're making millions upon fucking millions by over-monetizing the fuck out of Destiny 2, because Destiny 2 players kind of very much remind me of the Ubisoft players. They just eat the slop and they're just like, wrap it up. And so basically yesterday, was it yesterday that they announced this, or was it the day before? I forget. It was yesterday. Yeah. They announced that they laid off 220 more people. Yeah. That's 17% of the company. They moved 155 people to roles within Sony Interactive Entertainment. And they're taking 40 or so people to create a new sub-studio under Sony for a new game. So that's a combined total of 307. Well, 220 people are just fucking gone. Yeah. 155 of the other people are moving over to SIE, and 40 other people are making a new studio, which is insane. It's the article that Paul Tassi has here says it's a decimation of the company, which comes after 100 plus layoffs late last year, which was the one that I was talking about. Yeah. The people that got screwed over on their fucking shares and shit, which was disgusting. Yeah. And then the interesting thing is, like, the person that posts this, the CEO, Pete Parsons, is like, oh man, times are really tough and the economics, man, shit's rough, man, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But apparently, since they were acquired by Sony, this motherfucker spent $2.5 million in classic cars. Yeah. Because fuck you. You remember back in the day when the 3DS went belly up a little bit and Iwata was like, we're taking fucking paychecks. We're taking pay cuts on our executives to make sure that our employees remain in the company. And that is important because if people are scared of losing their fucking jobs, they can't do proper creative work. The absolute instability of this industry is going to ensure that a lot of people are not going to make good work because every time they're thinking, is this the day? Is this the day that I'm going to become a fucking statistic? Is this the day? And so that is the situation that we're in with the gaming industry.
The thing is, so yes, the CEO, but it gets worse. A day before the CEO fired these employees, because layoff is such a fucking nice word for fired. The day before, he took the employees to his house for like a barbecue, some kind of thing. Then showed off the fucking cars. Yeah, there's one of the Bungie employees that actually said, showed them the cars, and then the next day, they find out that they've been laid off. Like they're now fired.
My man was flexing on them.
He's like, look how rich I am.
Poor bitches. Look at all the money I have. Also, you're fired. Yep. What a scumbag. What a piece of shit.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Do you see what I mean? Why this company needs to fucking burn to the ground? Because here's the problem, right? If it and people are like, no, Rurikhan, they need to just like recover and be good, and it's like they can't, because the problem is at the top, and the problem is never going to get punished. The C-suite executives are never getting punished. It's never going to happen. Yeah, it's just going to keep on bleeding out on the people under them. They're going to keep getting the whip and getting let go. Yeah. It's what's going to happen. They need to burn to the ground. That is the only way. And I'm sorry if you're a Destiny 2 fan, bro. I'm really sorry. But guess what? I'm way more sorry for the people that are going to keep losing their fucking jobs in this goddamn industry, and the amount of talent that we're going to be losing in this industry because nobody does anything about it. And people keep buying the microtransactions and buying the additional dungeons and buying all of this bullshit, disgustingly monetized nonsense of a game that if you wanted to start playing it today, you'd need to watch like a 50-minute YouTube guide just to understand which parts you got to buy. Yeah. That's how bad it is with this free-to-play game. Get the fuck out of here. And here's another thing, right? So there are people that have worked in Destiny in social communication. So the former social media lead, Griffin Bennett, here's what he had to say about the situation. C-suite taking accountability for any of this, or still just withholding bonuses, which is what I told you about them stealing their shares. And it'll be settled in-house. Poor leadership has crushed one of the greatest developers of all time. Retire, Pete. Pete being Pete Parsons, the CEO. And then we have another one, which was their former community manager, Liana Rupert. And here's what she had to say. You are a liar, a thief, and so many things we can't discuss publicly. Now, this one is spicy. That's a spicy one. You better have some receipts for that one. But she then says, step down and without the giant Sony payout. This isn't on Sony. This is squarely on the failure of leadership, plain and simple.
Yep.
And this one is the best one. The current community manager of Bungie, he recently returned to the company. He said, inexcusable, industry-leading talent being lost. Yet again, accountability falling upon the workers who have pushed the needle to deliver for our community time and time again. This is why I say the only way for this situation to solve is for the company to burn to the fucking ground.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, if I was working at Bungie right now, I'd be looking at, getting the fuck out. Exit strategy. Every single developer at Bungie right now needs to be looking at an exit strategy. I'm sorry. I really am. I feel for you. It fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But right now, if I'm being completely honest, your company is a negative on the gaming industry as a whole because every little greedy C-suite executive is looking at the monetization practices of Bungie and they're rubbing their hands. You're like those disgusting flies on top of a big pile of shit. That's what they're like right now. They're like, look what they're getting away with, bro. Look what we could be doing.
I do want to say, I am in full agreement with you. The problem that we have in the gaming industry, and it sort of starts to make sense when you start to think about it, we have a bunch of developers that are so afraid of being let go that they're making games just not to lose players. They're no longer making games to get players. This is probably a big reason why almost every game we see nowadays plays it ultra safe. The last thing it wants to do is piss off the player base. The last thing it wants to do is piss off the leadership at the company. And so, and here's the thing, if you play not to lose, you lose. You have to play to win. And when you play to win, it means taking risks. Taking big risks, and either it works or it doesn't work, but you need to have the ability to do that. But I mean, onto the thing with the CEO being absolute dog shit. So here's the funny thing. You guys remember, and Rurikon mentioned it, after Activision Blizzard let Bungie get out, right? Bungie celebrated by cracking champagne bottles in the office. They were super happy. And then, like a year later, we find out Sony is actually now buying Bungie, right? And this is a whole new dawn of a new age. Sony is going to pick this up. Reports are now starting to circulate that, and this is according to according to the article, a well-connected former worker. At the time of the Sony acquisition, Bungie was broke. They were no longer they had no more money left. They had no money coming in. The company had run into an absolute wall of just bad management. The CEO was making all of the wrong decisions, spending exorbitant amount of money on bullshit projects that never went anywhere, didn't help sell the game, basically just misaligning everything within the company. And that's why the Sony bailout, it's basically not Sony buying them, it's a Sony bailout to get the company to make money again. And that is one of the reasons why they've gone all in on monetization. Because the CEO clearly doesn't know what he's doing. And the only way for the CEO, it's sort of like in restaurants, you have this a lot. The restaurant starts to do really badly because of bad service, bad quality food, or inconsistent quality food and stuff like that. And instead of fixing the problems that is making the restaurant lose customers, you just start cutting on ingredients. Let's put less mayo into the burgers. Let's put less meat into the patties. Let's do this. Let's do that. So you you're cutting all the wrong costs, right? You're doing all the wrong things while not going to I agree with you. The CEO should be let go. It's just fucking disgusting. But
it is, and this is one of the things that I've noticed in a lot of projects is that we have such tremendously talented teams in the gaming industry. But the biggest problem that we have is that in general, the leadership in most AAA studios is absolutely abysmal. Like another very clear-cut example would have been Anthem. I don't know if you've ever played Anthem, but I know you know of it for sure.
I have played it.
I played the fuck out of Anthem back in the day. I absolutely love the gameplay of that game.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing is everybody complained about Anthem is bad, Anthem is this, Anthem is the other thing. Do you know in how much time the final version of Anthem was developed?
No.
18 months.
Wow.
Look what that team made in 18 months.
Yeah.
Imagine what that team could have done with proper fucking leadership instead of whatever the fuck it was that those people were doing out there.
Andrew Wilson.
It's insane.
Andrew Wilson is a fucking retard that I've known for a long time. EA is just like BioWare should have gotten out long ago. But we're going to talk about something from ex-BioWare developers, but also, in the very near future, because you have Exodus coming up. I don't know if you've ever seen cinematics from Exodus, but fuck me, that game looks good. And it's basically all ex-BioWare people working on it. But all right, so from one train smash, which is Bungie, onto the next train smash, and then we'll get into some good news, because there is actually some good news. Star Wars Outlaws director basically said that any and all negative feedback about the game is simply players acting in bad faith. Now, he didn't say it in those words. What he basically said was players who are a little bit peeved at the main character. He refuses to engage in those debates because those are debates in bad faith. Which to me, and okay, people need to understand the concepts and the backstory here. I'm going to ask Naomi again, can you put this picture up? You should have it. This is the model that was used for the main character. This is the lady that they paid to play the main character, to do all of the mocap and all the rest of it. If you look at the model and you compare the model to the actual game character, you will note that the model looks nothing like the game character. And this is basically what players had a problem with. Why the fuck?
I mean,
yeah,
it was, here's the thing about that. It was intended. They did this intentionally. There's actually a design document that I remember downloading because it was part of their press kit or whatever, because you can look up online press kits for video games and they usually have those. And you will find sometimes design documents and stuff and whatnot. This is all publicly available information. So in their design document for the character, which is called K-Vess, they said, yep, we broke her nose, we gave her a worn look and whatnot, because they want her to feel like a lived-in character and whatnot. So yeah, when the thing that is weird to me is whenever people say, oh, the main character is ugly, and people start saying like, no, she's not. And then there's a design document that specifically says, yeah, we purposefully made her more ugly. Like they gave her artificial, I don't know if it's like freckles or whatever, but I think part of it was because it was scar marks from using a blaster and shit like that. But yeah, they basically they hit her with the ugly stick a couple of times. It was intentional.
Now, I have no problem with that. But that is what you would call engaging in good faith with gamers that have a problem. Because remember, you can't just ignore what is currently happening in the gaming industry. We have multiple examples in the gaming industry right now of female characters being made objectively uglier than what they are as the models. And gamers are starting to ask questions. Why do male characters almost always resemble 100% the models that were paid to model them? But the female characters almost always look a lot worse than the models that were paid to model them. And that's a legitimate question, because are you ideologically against beautiful game characters? Because when you compare it to things like Stellar Blade or any of the games coming out of Japan, those women look fucking amazing. Did you see the suits from First Descendant? The shit that they're doing there, they're really celebrating the beautiful girls in their game. And gamers like that. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say sex doesn't sell. Of course it fucking sells. It's a marketing sort of tidbit that's been known for years and years and years and years and years. So fundamentally, that is a conversation that gamers will have. And you as the developer can't just label that as bad faith. Come out then and talk to the players and say, hey guys, we get that you guys have seen the model and you've seen the in-game model and you notice the discrepancies. We want to make sure that you understand why those discrepancies exist. At first, when we got the model, she's perfect for it. Her body, the way she moved, this is exactly what we wanted. But we looked at her in-game and we realized, wait a second, does this look like someone that has lived a thief's life? No, it looks like a fucking model, and that's not what we're going for.
I think there's another problem, which is just that Ubisoft's engine is garbage and it animates like shit. And therefore,
True.
There's limits to how much they can make a character look good. And the problem is, once they hit her with the ugly stick once or twice, the engine just took care of the rest.
I mean, I would agree.
The engine just went on autopilot. Oh, I'll make her look real good. I'll give her the Ubisoft touch.
I would agree with
that.
Yeah, but I would agree with that, except if you go to Far Cry 6 and you look at the Breaking Bad actor in it, looks exactly like him, right? Like exactly like him.
I don't know. I haven't played Far Cry since 3. Who's the Breaking Bad actor?
The dude that gets blown the fuck up in season 5. Spoilers for anyone that doesn't know. He comes walking out of the hospital room, and he looks fine, and then the camera pans to the front, and you see half of his fucking face.
Gustavo Fring. Yeah,
that dude. Yeah. He looks exactly like he's like him in the game. So clearly the engine can at least do it. And I have no problem with artistic license. I have no problem. I actually think that's a good thing. You have this character that's been a thief her whole life. That's obviously a hard. You don't expect to see a model doing that, right? You expect to see someone that is sort of choppy and gritty and, can get the job done, and obviously will have scars and all the rest of it. That's fine.
I will say, my least favorite thing is the haircut they gave her. It's like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
That I don't like.
No, I agree with you, and I hope that there is some kind of character creator that allows you to change the hair, or at least some
customization.
Yeah.
Give her a decent haircut.
Yeah. And maybe
she can be ugly, but at least give her a good haircut, please.
Absolutely. I think if you wanted to do that, you could probably start out with the character looking all pretty like their model, and then throughout the game, for immersion, as they go through shit, you start seeing scars and you start seeing all sorts of shit happen. You could probably work something like that out, but I'm not going to hold that against them. I didn't even know about this document, but that makes sense to me. Again, if you were just willing to engage with your audience and explain these things to them, these kinds of things could be laid to rest a lot easier, and far fewer people would sit here and scream DEI or SBI or anything of that when you have given them these kinds of information, or this kind of information.
I don't mind talking about it, but to me, this doesn't bother me at all in terms of like whether or not I would enjoy the game. What bothers me is their business practices, which very much like fucking Assassin's Creed Shadows. Yeah. It's like, 130 bones if you want to own the whole experience, or you can rent it from us at 18 bones a month. And it's like, bro, fuck your Ubisoft Plus. Fuck your $130 and fuck your business practices of chopping off pieces of the game, selling it piecemeal, and also fuck your goddamn engine that animates like shit, okay? Update that shit, make your game look good, make your gameplay good. Yeah. Like, that's what really matters. But fundamentally, I'm even willing to overlook the shortcomings of the engine if you would just fucking like, bro, hey, here you go, $70 or whatever it is, industry standard pricing, and you get the whole fucking game. But you can't even do that. You have to nickel and dime people, so fuck you.
I agree with you. I don't care what the character looks like per se, but again, it is one of those things where this is not engaging in bad faith. These are not bad faith actors. These are gamers that are worried because if you have that DI in your game, you probably have other shit in your game.
I think that companies in general, like publishers, because of the current environment that you have within the gaming community, whether these things are justified or not from your point of view, fundamentally, it's like, look, there's clearly a concern from the gaming community about DEI practices and all of this stuff. And I feel like as a whole, a decent chunk of the industry is being incredibly shady about the way that they're doing it. They're now like hiding whether or not certain companies are consulting for the video games and whatnot. And it's all being very hush hush. We don't really talk about it.
Yeah.
And there's like government funding shits that, like I said, I haven't looked into this, but the stuff that I have seen doesn't look good. And to me, it's like, just be fucking front-facing about it, okay? Yeah. It's like, yes, we did consult with DEI. Yes, we did. Because at that point, right? Because right now what's happening is a lot of people are reporting on it because the companies aren't being front-facing about it.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like if you're just like, yes, we did consult with Sweet Baby Inc. Here's what they've done on the game. Here's where they've had influence. Here's where they didn't have influence. Blah, blah, blah. Just fucking disclose it. Yeah. And then people can look at it and they'll make a couple of videos talking about whether or not they'd agree with it, and boom, it's done. Because otherwise, what ends up happening, because you're not front-facing about it, is there's going to be a bunch of fucking theories out there, and nobody's really going to know whether or not something is happening or not. All you have now is theories, and, you know, gamers are going to look at it and they're going to take stuff at face value. Yep. Some people are going to believe it, some people are not. But basically what is needed above all with this DI situation is transparency.
Yep.
And unless you engage people in good faith with transparency, guess what? All you're going to get is negative attention on you. It's just that simple.
Yeah. I mean, 100% agree with you. But
and the more you try to hide it, it's the Streisand effect. You get the exact opposite.
But the whole point that I'm trying to bring home here is just the arrogance of publishers, the arrogance of Ubisoft, to basically go, look, unless you suck our dicks, you're just a bad faith actor. And it's like, look, bro, we're the reason you're in business. Treating us this way, not a good look for you. But hey, you know,
they've recently had a preview event where a lot of creators got to play like 4 hours of the game. And at least 2 of those, I saw the titles. I've seen a little bit of ACG's coverage, which it didn't seem like he was particularly impressed. Yeah. I think that ACG, in his video title, he said, "I'd rather kiss a Wookiee." And Skill Up, he said, "Scruffy looking." These are 2 Star Wars references, and I'm like, oh, that's not looking too good.
No.
If those are the titles they're putting on the video, it's looking kind of rough.
It's probably going to bomb, but hey, you know, but who am I? I'm just a bad faith gamer.
I guarantee it's not going to bomb. This shit sells 10 million copies first week easy. Guaranteed. There's money in the bank.
You see, the thing for me is...
You need to understand, like you and me, we are a very small niche, and the people who care about this topic are also a very small niche. There's millions of people out there that straight up do not consume gaming content. They have no idea anything like this is going on. They're going to buy it because it's Star Wars. It's that simple. Star Wars is going to sell. Very much the same way that Assassin's Creed Shadows, that's also going to make 10 million copies first week easy. Why? It's Assassin's Creed. A lot of people just buy it because it's Assassin's Creed and that's it. And they don't care.
Maybe. We'll see. I'm not as convinced. But, you know, I could be wrong. But then again, for them, 30 million or 10 million copies sold is still not a commercial success. Because you know that this is going to be another live service, right? And
it's not really
I think that's where it's going to die.
I don't think it's a live service.
We'll see. We'll see. If I look at all the things that they're offering at the start, it looks like they're setting it up to be one of those forever games that just continuously release more things.
Something that they're gonna support for like 2 years or something with additional content and patches. And
that's exactly my point. I don't think we're getting there. I don't think we're getting to 2 years. They have a season pass in there, which suggests that there's at least one expansion for the game. I don't think we're getting one expansion for the game. Because, yes, it will sell, but the amount of people that will leave, I am almost forecasting mixed to negative reviews on this game probably day one.
And it won't matter.
Yeah, it won't matter in the short term, but it will matter in the long term, because obviously if you're already working on a DLC, you're going to have to can that if no one wants to fucking play the game. It's like Flintlock. I don't know if you saw Flintlock just announced proudly to the world that they have 500,000 players worldwide. This is like 2 weeks after the game launched. I'm like, wait a second. That's really bad, especially considering on Steam.
I mean, it depends. It depends on what their budget for the game was. It might actually be good because it's a AA game. So 500,000 players, that's actually not that bad. I thought it would have been way worse.
It depends, because on Steam, that's not where those 500,000 players came from. On Steam, I mean, the peak is 500,000
players. They're coming from Game Pass because the game's on Game Pass.
Yeah, but remember, on Game Pass, you count as 500,000 as one of the 500,000 if you installed it and literally played 10 minutes and left. You're one of the 500,000, which means that they're not getting a lot of money, because Xbox Game Pass, the way it works is you get a share of the Xbox Game Pass money the more hours are played, right? So gamers are playing the game, how many hours are they playing it, and how many gamers are playing it for how many hours. That's how your share is calculated.
Metric, though, if that's how it's calculated, it's terrible. Because like you can finish that game, I think in I think people said like in 15 hours or something.
Yeah,
like,
but
what they play 15 hours, finish the game, and that's it. Now you get less money because of it. It's
no. Remember, it is worked out in relation to your game, right? So how many people are playing your game for how many? But the one of the developers for that Hi-Fi Rush game, if you remember the one that was the studio that was canceled for it, that developer actually came out and explained the reason they never made any money off of Game Pass was because the game is fairly short. It's not that big of a game, and it was only really popular for like the first week that it launched, and people finished the game and then moved on. And the way Microsoft's Game Pass is set up, that is super punishing. That is super punishing to you. This is why we had this entire conversation a while back about the Xbox Game Pass, and why I think the longevity of the Xbox Game Pass is going to be problematic at best. But all right, so that, well, actually, maybe we should finish the last bit of like really, really bad shit. And I'm going to hand this off to you because I know you're much more of a fan of this company than what I am. But apparently, some investors at Capcom are having
this is listen. This is not bad. This is just funny. It's not bad.
Okay, so a bit of a palate cleanser. A bit of a we just ate a bunch of shit. Give us a palate cleanser from investors at Capcom being high IQ.
So, Capcom did their shareholder. It's probably a shareholder meeting or something, but basically a bunch of investors get to go and ask Capcom questions, and it really just shows you how out of touch or how little a lot of these investors care about the actual gaming industry or the health of the companies that they're investing in, because this big brain investor just comes out and says, so for starters, there's a game that's coming out. Not sure if you know about it, Monster Hunter Wilds. People are super excited about this game. Everybody that likes Monster Hunter is like full steam ahead, hype train, let's fucking go. They've shown gameplay of the game already. I'm going to be playing this game next month at Gamescom. It's going to be, I know it's going to be a blast. Like, I'm super pumped for it because Capcom has always delivered with their Monster Hunter series. Now, the thing is, the reason Capcom is able to deliver with their Monster Hunter series is because they cook. They're like, no, it releases when it's ready. Like when a Monster Hunter game comes out, generally it's very well polished. Now they still struggle a little bit on the PC side of things because they're still getting used to it, like all the different hardware variations. Sometimes it takes them a while. Like Iceborne had a lot of performance issues and whatnot. They had to smooth that out, optimize it. But fundamentally, they eventually get there. But the game itself is solid. The game experience, like, you know, what you get when you're playing a Monster Hunter game, everybody loves it. And the reason is, again, because developers cook. They go in there and they know exactly what they're doing. And I can tell you right now, it is hands down one of the most passionate development teams in the industry. And the reason you can tell this is because you look at the animations and you just see a bunch of animations that don't need to be there. like that serve no actual purpose, but they're so detailed, so impeccable. Like, to give you an idea, there's a canteen in Monster Hunter, which is a place that you go to in between every hunt because you eat there, and whenever you eat, you get buffs. And so that's kind of like a ritual. Before you go off on a hunt, you go and you have a big meal. It's a big feast. It's a big celebration. It's really cool. Mm-hmm. And there's like this little palico, and palicos are just these cat-looking creatures, which are basically they run around the world and they do stuff. They're able to perform tasks, right? And so there's this cat, and he's blowing into an oven because you when you're trying to light a fire, you blow air into it so that it there's oxygen to fire starts burning. Mm. And so they have this little animation for the cat where he's sitting there and he's going like, and he goes, and you could just have that and that's done, right? Okay, there's the cat, he's doing that. But no, because the second one is a little bit different. He goes like, and on the third time, he blows a little bit harder and the fire sprouts out, burns his face. And he's like, Meow! And so it's this little cute animation, but like shit like that is all over the game. Animations that actually don't really serve a purpose or whatever, mm-hmm. but look phenomenal and are fantastically animated because it immerses you and they understand. So this is why I know this team is like super passionate. Not just that animation, there's other reasons, but you get the idea. Like the attention to detail, phenomenal. Yeah. And so the game is scheduled to release in 2025. This was announced at the end of last year at the Game Awards. So 2025, and we're like, okay, let them cook. Sounds great. Let's go. But in comes big brain investor, and he just goes like, aren't you guys just release Monster Hunter Wilds on holiday 2024 because it'll make more money? Like, that's it. That's the big brain take. Okay, just release it earlier. Like, what's the big deal?
Why not? Half finished, we'll fix it in post. Day one patch into 2 week patch, into 1 month patch, into 2 month patch, into 2.5 month patch, into 6 month patch. After a year, it's playable, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and by the way, we're also launching a patch that you have to pay for in order to make it fully playable. Because why not?
It's ridiculous. And it's funny when you think about it, because we recently had a legit competitor release, a legit potential competitor for Monster Hunter World released in 2023. Mm-hmm. It was released by EA.
Of course.
But it was developed by Koei Tecmo, the Omega Force. This is the studio behind the Dynasty Warriors games and stuff like that. But they've also done other games that are comparable to Monster Hunter. So this was a new IP. It's called Wild Hearts. Super promising.
Oh yeah, I saw the game.
Yeah, they released it in a shit state. That game was fucking hot garbage. Ran like ass, like tons of performance issues, lots of problems. But the game itself, the idea was phenomenal. It was a fantastic game. I had a blast playing that game. Mm-hmm. I played it on console because it was more stable there than it was on PC. And so I played it on console, and then eventually I ran into a bug where the game would run in slow motion because it was that bad.
Oh, wow.
But guess what happened to that game? Everybody dropped the game super early on because it had performance issues, it wasn't polished, had all of these situations. And now that game's closing down barely a year after it released.
Of course.
So it's like, that's what happens when you release shit too soon. And if you're this investor who had this big brain take, think long term. Yep. You're an investor. Please. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
No, I mean, I have massive problems with the stock market and the way the stock market is meant to be. I was doing this whole video on what's going on in the gaming industry specifically, and it seems like most of the problems started sort of in the early 90s, where investments no longer... it sort of changed actually from the 70s. Major changes started to come in where you now had companies being responsible for investors, right? So before that, a company was responsible for running their company. Investors would invest in companies that they believed in. Then came fiduciary responsibility, which means you have a fiduciary responsibility to make as much money for your investors as is humanly possible, or else they can sue the living fuck out of you. So you can't lose their money. This means that companies shifted their focus from focusing on the product that they're making to focusing on the investor. It's literally what's gone wrong with the gaming industry. It is why the gaming industry is in the state that it is in. That being said, though, I wonder, let's finish with the bad news before we get into some of the good news, because there is some good stuff that we can talk about. That's not going to take that long.
You've been teasing good things.
Yeah. But I just went down the list.
50 minutes. The last 50 minutes, you're like, guys, the good news is you sound like a AAA publisher. Going like, guys, the game is almost playable. I promise. It's almost good.
Yeah.
The good times are ahead.
Allow me to cook for a few more minutes, ladies and gentlemen. This next one is actually sad for me. Stormgate. Okay. Stormgate released into early access, and it released to mixed reviews. Now, for those of you that don't know what Stormgate is, it is from Mike Morhaim's company, or at least they're the publishers of this game, and it is supposed to be the spiritual successor to StarCraft. If you look at the graphics, you look at the game, it's basically StarCraft just in its own universe. Mixed reviews is one thing. It's early access. Most early access games tend to be very bad in their first few weeks of launch, as, you know, a lot of bugs need to be fixed and whatnot. The problem is when you go into the actual comments, the actual reviews. The game, according to many, plays literally exactly like StarCraft, but worse. It was promised to be the next level of RTS. It was promised to be the next gen RTS game. It is worse than the last StarCraft. Most people are saying the gameplay loop is incredibly boring. The controls are incredibly bad. The graphics look washed. The game feels like it has no soul to it. Almost.
The graphics was the thing that I noticed, because I've been following Stormgate because I'm actually a huge fan of StarCraft. I know
Same.
I don't play that much StarCraft on my channel because I'm not a big RTS guy. But back in the day, I loved playing StarCraft.
Oh, yeah.
I had so many stories of crazy shit that I would get on with my friends. It was hilarious playing StarCraft back in the day before there was actually meta where people are just, no, we follow the build order and this is how it goes. I actually think that, unfortunately, a lot of these games, the way that they're played nowadays, it's not nearly as fun to play. I remember when I played StarCraft 2, when it came out, I was trying to like rank up and doing all the things. And it was just like people had such brain rot of following builds that they had no idea what to do when something went wrong. To give you an idea, one time, because this was the strategy that everybody was using, was 4-gate. When I was playing the game, it was 4-gate. So this man, Protoss, summon 4 gateways, pump out zealots and whatever the other unit was, which it wasn't the Dragoon, it was something else, the little spider thing, whatever. But it didn't attack to the air, if I remember correctly. It only attacked to the ground. And so this guy starts doing 4-gate, attacks my base, and, you know, I'm trying to play more of a long game because I think it's fun to go through the, you know, the actual tech trees and whatnot. So I had a fuck ton of probes. And so he kills my little defense that I have, and he's starting to punish my probes. And I was just like, okay. I pull out all the probes and I kill his attack. And the guy, like, short circuit is like, wait, what? He defended with probes? Because at the time, this wasn't like a super popular thing that, you know, casual players were doing. So I was like, you can't do that. You can't defend with probes. What the fuck? And so I'm just like chilling, and I was like, all right, he's going for a big ground thing. So I take a probe and I make a base like in the ass end of the map because I knew that he was going to kill my base with the way that he was taking up. And then I make a Stargate and I make one Void Ray. One of the Void Ray ships. And I'm just like going to his bases, fucking him up all over the place because he would refuse to adapt this strategy. And with my one Void Ray, I was destroying everything this man had. And he would just keep pumping up more zealots and these things that wouldn't attack to the air because he wanted to rush me down.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, make one unit that can attack to the air, you fucking imbecile. And, you know, That's what it devolved down to. People had just like their build orders, and they just follow build orders, and that's all they did. So it kind of like the whole scene died down for me. But anyway, so I was following Stormgate, and when I looked at the visuals, I was like, ooh, I don't know. Gameplay better be really fucking good, because I saw them like being animated from some gameplay. Because initially I was super excited. I was like, oh man, the next StarCraft, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
And I looked at gameplay and I was like, this doesn't, and it's a free to play game. How are you guys going to monetize it? Like, what's that? I don't know about that.
But the thing is, it's not even, well, it is. It's not even really free to play, because when you look at it, there's an early access pack that you need to buy if you want to get the game right now, which is like the opposite of what free to play is, right?
But when it launches, it's going to be free to play, right? Early access stuff is normal. Yeah. So this is
but my problem is, if you're going to be free to play, you can't charge for your early access.
I mean, lots of free-to-play games have done that. Like Warframe did that, and there's plenty of other ones. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but there's tons and tons of free-to-play games that have done that exact same strategy. That they're going to be free-to-play when they actually release, but before that, it's just like, you know.
Maybe. I don't mind that you're charging for early access. I don't know. It is what it is. We'll see. We'll see what happens, right? This is early access, so they have time to fix it. This will tell us what kind of company is going to be making this game, but it's important to note that. I think the last thing that is a little bit sad, but not for the reasons that you might think, Avowed has been delayed, or at least the reports right now is that Avowed will be delayed until 2025. Now,
it's better than releasing it too early, so I'm perfectly fine with it.
You'll be interested to know why they're delaying the game. Just very quickly, update for anyone that doesn't know anything about Avowed. Avowed is from the original people that worked, I believe it's Obsidian. These are the original people that worked on Fallout, and I think it was Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3.
Specifically Fallout New Vegas only, I think. I think that's the only Fallout that they did.
Yeah,
they did Fallout New Vegas, but they've also done The Outer Worlds, which is really fun. I enjoyed The Outer Worlds.
Very good game.
They've done a couple. They also do I think they did the South Park games, the South Park RPG games.
Yeah. It's also Obsidian.
So they've done some cool stuff. So, and basically Avowed is their take on Skyrim, except it is in the, I forget the name of that universe, but there's like a whole RPG series around this universe because it's an established universe.
Yeah.
Is it Planescape?
Could be Planescape. I'm
not sure.
But yeah, it's their version of Skyrim, right? So it is very much sword, shields, magic, the whole universe there. It looks phenomenal. It looks really, really good. I even found out that there is a third-person mode for the game. I think they've actually, because it was showed off originally as a first-person only game. And I remember reading an article not too long ago that suggested either they moved from first person to third person because it was just better overall.
I don't think they're doing that.
Or you have third person as an option. One of the two things. They might do
third person as an option.
Yeah. I was hoping that they would do third person as an option because I hate first person sword and shield. But, that's just a personal thing. But it looks phenomenal. But the reason it's been delayed is because of just too much traffic on Game Pass. There is currently too many games launching on Game Pass, and they don't want their game to compete with all of the other games in Game Pass. So they made the decision to postpone until next year when there are fewer games on Game Pass.
I mean, it's smart, but it just really highlights the problem of Game Pass, wherein Microsoft, like we've talked about this in the past, Microsoft has essentially trained their player base on Xbox to just wait for Game Pass. It's like very few of them actually buy games nowadays, I would imagine. And this is one of the things that developers themselves have said. They're like, unless you unless you have a Game Pass deal, there's not much reason to launch a game on an Xbox. And before people start saying like, oh, fucking Sony ponies, like I play most of my stuff on PC. I own a PlayStation. I would have owned an Xbox, but if I can play most of the stuff on PC, I'm not going to spend money for nothing. Because I would like to own an Xbox, but it's just an expense that I can't justify at this point. But fundamentally, it's just one of those situations where this is a problem, I feel, for Microsoft, because if Game Pass, they're all in on Game Pass, basically. So if the popularity of that wanes away even a little bit, they're fucked.
Yeah. So, that's just the news now. It's been delayed until 2025. We'll see what happens in the future there. Then, there's a new game genre in town. This actually excited me a lot, and I think it is worth a discussion. We can't spend too much time on it because we don't know much about it. But basically, there's a game called Fellowship that's coming out, I believe, in 2024, maybe 2025. 2025, I think, is what they said.
2025. It's Fellowship combines elements of MMOs, MOBAs, RPGs, offering thrilling endgame dungeon runs, diverse roster of heroes, cooperative team-focused gameplay. Epic Loop launches on PC 2025 as a premium title. Oh, it doesn't even have console release. This should be console crossplay.
Yeah.
They should definitely do this console crossplay.
I think so too.
Interesting that it's going to be a premium title. I thought that this would have been like a free-to-play live service type of thing.
No, it looks like it's going to be premium. But for those of you that might not know, this is a new genre of game. According
they're
to
calling it MODA.
Yeah, it's MODA, which is multiplayer online dungeon adventure. The game is basically taking Mythic Plus from World of Warcraft, and yes, also a lot of the developers that work on this game comes from WoW. It's basically all of the MMOs plus WoW and then a couple of RPGs. But effectively what they've done is they've removed the open world, they've removed questing and leveling, and they basically just said dungeons. You go into the dungeons with your friends. It's 5-man dungeons, I believe. It has the Holy Trinity, so tank, healer, DPS. You need the Holy Trinity in order to kill the bosses in the dungeons. And it's basically going to have 2 modes of dungeon. The one is adventure dungeons, and the other is competitive dungeons, so some shit like that, where you have to complete.
It's actually 4 players, I think,
or 4 players. I mean, 4, I think, kind of makes sense.
No, it's 5. Never mind.
Is it 5?
You're right. It's 5.
All right.
It's 5. Sorry.
4 would have made sense, by the way, because a lot of people don't have 5 friends that they can do shit with, but most people have 4 at least that they can do shit with. But never mind that. It looks
I'm sure this will have
fine.
Matchmaking. It needs to have matchmaking.
Yeah, it will most likely do. It looks fine. It doesn't blow me away. I watched the whole trailer, and nothing about the game really blew my mind. But I do think for people that are dungeoneers and people that love dungeons, this is probably going to be their shit, right? Because it removes all of the needless questing, it removes all of the needless leveling, and you just get all of your upgrades right there from the dungeon. I'm assuming there will probably be some kind of scaling system. What I mean with your character will get more powerful, right? As you do more dungeons, or maybe it's just tied to gear. They haven't really gone into a shit ton of details there. What does surprise me, though, is it looks like the characters that you're playing is very static. So you have a character that is a tank, and it's only a tank, and it has these abilities, and these are the abilities you tank with. Then you have a character that is a caster that does casting things, and it only does casting things.
It's the whole thing where they can basically make a couple of characters, and these will be the characters that you're going to be playing, because this allows them to balance the game more than if you had the control of like, well, actually now I'm playing Sword and Shield, now I'm playing Dual Wield. This makes the game easier to balance.
True.
To have a better dungeon experience, which I actually think could be really fun. Like, it looks fun.
Yeah.
Reminds me a little bit of Wayfinder.
Yeah. It pretty much, when they gave it a new genre, I was like, wait, but this is like Wayfinder. This is kind of like things like Monster Hunter. It's the same kind of vibe.
No, this is nothing like Monster Hunter.
No, but it's the same idea, remember? Because in Monster Hunter, you also go out and you kill bosses, right? That's the whole point of the game. In this one, you're going out and you're killing. Yeah, you're hunting monsters, but they're still bosses.
This is a
who
dungeon.
still do your thing.
This is very different.
Yeah, but it's the same.
No, stop.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
No, listen. I'm going to call the community manager and he'll copyright strike copyright strike this podcast.
The point I'm making is it's the same concept, right? Even though it changes the concept entirely, it's the same concept as very focused on a specific thing that it wants to do really well. It's not trying to be anything it isn't, right? So, for example, Monster Hunter isn't trying to be Elden Ring. It's not even attempting to be Elden Ring. It's also not trying to be an MMO because it's not an MMO. It's not meant to be one. This game is very similar to that. It wants to be a dungeon crawler with your friends, and that's all it is. I think it could be really good. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. The problem is you're competing against Final Fantasy and WoW, man. And that is...
You're not.
You are kind of.
This is a premium game. It's not really an MMORPG.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Immediately, when I saw that it's going to be set champions, I knew what the monetization for this game was going to look like.
No, but it's a premium game. It's not going to have that monetization. At least it shouldn't, because if they're doing that type of monetization, it should be free to play.
It doesn't have to be. Many people have made mistakes in the past with their monetization because they didn't think through it. They could very easily launch this as a paid title and then just every 6 months or so release a champion that you have to buy in order to play this new champion. That's either a healer, a DPS, or a tank. I highly doubt that they're going to do new dungeons and new champions for free for a one-time price. The fact is, this is a multiplayer online dungeon adventure, which suggests almost immediately to me some elements of live service. Maybe not full-blown live service, but there's going to be elements to it. Because you have to keep the servers up, right?
It would make sense for sure.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it could be peer-to-peer. So, like, for instance, we could play multiplayer right now in Wayfinder, and it would be peer-to-peer. It's not online servers.
It's possible.
So they might be doing it that way as well.
It is possible.
Depending, they better nail down that net code, because otherwise...
Although, I will say, these days, my trust in the gaming industry is so fucking low that I would not be surprised if they said premium game and then it was 100% just live service. I would not be surprised at all. I mean, the gaming industry has come... I mean, they've done scumbaggier things in the past, right? But this sort of does lead to a question that I know. You know what? I think we'll leave this question for next week because it's actually going to be a much longer conversation and we're already edging towards that 2-hour mark. So let's leave this question. But basically next week, I want to talk about MMO stagnation. And when you look at things like this, you look at Final Fantasy's reception. I mean, the newest expansion was not received too well for Final Fantasy XIV. You look at World of Warcraft, The War Within. It looks phenomenal. It looks like Blizzard is really paying attention, and yet you have so many people that are just not hyped for it at all.
Listen, Echelon, you want to get me hyped for World of Warcraft? You know what they should do?
What's that?
Get rid of the WoW token. I would get a raging boner for World of Warcraft the second they would just remove the WoW token. I'd be like, fuck yeah, dude. Fine.
That is
have
never
some
happening.
Integrity in your fucking video game. Then they don't have any integrity in the video game. They don't
that
care.
is never happening.
They don't give a fuck.
But I do.
There's no integrity in World of Warcraft as long as the WoW token exists.
Yeah. I mean, I hope, Naomi, have shown you guys some footage of the game so you can see what it looks like while we were talking about it. Naomi, if you haven't, go back and do that now, please, so that they know what's going on that one.
We're a professional podcast.
True. Normally, I don't have to tell Naomi anything. Up until now, she's literally done all of the edits by herself without any input from us, and it's been amazing. So, but, just wanted to be sure.
No, listen, Naomi needs to start pulling some tricks and just like breaking the fourth wall. It's like Naomi here, and just like these fucking two guys just keep criticizing my job. Just like start leaving little Easter eggs throughout the podcast. That's the way to do it.
I mean, she's welcome to. She's done an amazing job. So, much love to you, Naomi, for what you're doing for us here. Okay, so very quickly, I wanted to have you played Riot's new LOL Swarm?
What?
Have you played LOL Swarm?
That sounds like some strange Swedish dish. I'm not.
No, bro.
No.
If you like things like Hades, if you like sort of games of that roguelite kind of genre, dude, get yourself Riot's new game, LOL Swarm. I've been addicted to that thing for the last 3 days. Can't stop fucking playing it. It is crazy fun. Like, it really is just crazy fun. It's not quite like normal roguelites, because you basically hit one map and you're just swarmed by enemies the whole time, and you collect these cards that give you power-ups and new abilities, and you have to make a build.
That's not Hades, that's Vampire Survivors.
Yes, but it's still roguelite in a way, because you also get powerful over play style. So, it's sort of a mixture of all of those.
Yeah, like the Halls of Torment thing, Vampire Survivors. There was another one that I played too. Yeah. That's not Hades, bro.
The reason I used Hades is it's a roguelite, right? And this is basically the same thing, right? It's also a roguelite that's doing the same thing. And I think it's really fun. And I'm not even that big of a roguelike fan, but I played Hades. It was pretty good.
Listen, this is not a roguelike. This is a different genre. I don't even know what you call this genre.
Here's my thing.
It's the Vampire Survivors genre, which are described as Vampire Survivors.
Here's why it is a roguelike or a roguelite, in my opinion. Because it adheres to about 80% of all the exact same things that you get from a roguelite experience.
Stop. You're wrong. I'm looking at gameplay of it right now. This is literally Vampire Survivors.
It's
literally Vampire Survivors, Halls of Torment. It's literally that. I'm looking at Asmongold playing it right now. It's literally that. It's not a roguelike. Like, you need to understand, roguelikes have like level progression and all of that stuff.
Dude,
and this is not that.
Okay. Literally, if you Google what is the genre for Vampire Survivors, roguelike.
You're a roguelike.
It is a Look, there's a reason why it's called roguelike and roguelite is the two genres that you have. Because roguelite games are roguelike, but changes to it. Roguelike is literally that. That's why I said it is a roguelike game. Because it has 80% of all the elements that you would get in a Hades game. It just changes the maps, for example. It changes the way the enemies would operate, for example. But it is still fundamentally the same concept. You get more powerful the more you play.
I'm just saying, if you want to give people like a comparison, don't say Hades. Say Vampire Survivors. That's it.
It's like Hades, just different.
No, it's like Vampire Survivors. Stop.
It's like if Hades and Vampire Survivors had a baby, and it was called Hades Survivors.
No, it's not.
This is what it is.
It's a lie. That's a lie.
But it is fun. It is super fun. You guys should play it. Absolutely. It's crazy cool. Definitely check that out.
Only if I can play as Gragas. Can I play as Gragas?
I'm not sure if Gragas can be if Gragas can be unlocked. There's like a shit ton of champions that you can play with.
If I can't play Gragas, then this is a shit game and nobody should play it.
It's pretty difficult though. The way there's like 8 or 9 different maps. Every map gets significantly harder, and then every map also has difficulty added. So you can make the maps even harder.
Is this a full game or is it like an early access?
Riot doesn't do early access. It's for free on the Riot client. Just jump in and play.
Yeah, what I mean is like, is this a finished product or is it like beta, alpha, whatever?
It feels finished, but it's probably, I mean, it's like League. is League a finished product? Not really. It's always evolving, always changing. But yeah, I would say it's mostly finished. It feels mostly finished. So yeah, I have people that's finished the game entirely. So I would say check it out if you haven't already. And then I think we would be amiss if we didn't at least quickly mention the Doctor Doom controversy. Are you aware of what happened there, Rurikon?
Oh, yeah. I've heard that apparently there was this reveal thing at the San Diego Comic-Con where they're announcing like the next person to play Doctor Doom, and it is going to be Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
So apparently this is something that has happened in the comics, because the thing about the comics, right, is that there's all these different universes that they're constantly pulling from. So there's a million different story threads from different Earths and all of this stuff. So apparently I don't know if in one of those or in some of those, Tony Stark is Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
And that's probably something that they're going to do. There's already like either theories online or whatever. There's the conversation about him apparently being an anchor being, and because of what happens during the Avengers, they need to go get another Tony Stark from another universe. And apparently the one that they bring back is going to be Doctor Doom. So it's going to make sense in the MCU and all of that stuff.
I personally...
Do you have a problem with this?
Not really, but the fucking community seems to have a massive problem with this.
I think the biggest issue with it is that people wanted a more imposing Doctor Doom, so they wanted someone like taller.
Yeah,
that I think that's been one of the biggest things that I could see. Okay, I can kind of see that. Like people were saying, Mads Mikkelsen would probably make a really cool Doctor Doom. And I'm intended to agree. Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen would probably be cool. But the thing is, Robert Downey Jr. is used to playing these type of roles. Maybe not as a villain, because he's usually the good guy.
Yeah.
But, he could probably... considering that he's probably still, if all the theories are right, he's still basically playing Tony Stark.
Yeah. I mean, I would just say, from my perspective, I don't care, because I think people fundamentally don't understand how actors are chosen for roles. The MCU is in dire fucking straits. It needs help. It needs help with views. Almost all of their newest movies are failing wholesale. Mads Mikkelsen, for as awesome as he is, does not have the star power of Tony Stark, of Robert Downey Jr. He just doesn't. It's as simple as that. Robert Downey Jr. is like the biggest superstar of the MCU universe ever. When he became Tony Stark, I don't know. I feel sorry for the next person that has to take over and become Iron Man. Because I don't know if anyone would ever be able to live up to Iron Man. Right? To Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. Because he played it so fucking iconically. He did it so well. It's like Captain America. What's his name? The dude that played Captain America. Chris Evans. I know they tried this new Captain America thing. I personally think it's going to fucking bomb.
Anthony Mackie?
Yeah.
You don't think Anthony Mackie is a good Cap?
No, because I think Chris Evans played Cap so fucking well that it's one of those things where you try to change him out with someone else, and I have no problem with Anthony Mackie. He was phenomenal in the other MCU movies. I like him as a character and as an actor. He's a very good actor. But to try and cast him as the next Cap when Chris Evans is still around and was the Cap for most of us, right? At least for my whole life, Chris Evans was Captain America. Right? So the problem is you're trying to cast someone new, and the whole time I'm going to be sitting there going, but where's Captain America?
I think the thing is, for me, because I'm not super familiar with the comics, right? And to be honest, I'm not even that familiar with the movies. Like, I've watched some of the movies. I haven't watched all of them. Like, for instance, a lot of people are going to be upset at what I'm about to say. I've never seen Endgame.
Oh my!
Never seen it,
bro. Seriously?
It's because Netflix in Portugal success, and I'm not willing to pay Disney Plus, so I'd have to go sail the high seas. And it's like, bro, I just can't even be asked.
What kind of fucking nerd are you that you've not seen the greatest MCU movie of all time, bro.
I know. I've seen
to
a
watch
lot
that
of them
shit.
though. Like I've seen some of the Thor movies. I've seen some of the Iron Man movies. I haven't seen all of them because I just don't have that much time available to go to the movies all the time. But
Man.
the thing is, right, with a lot of these MCU movies, they're drawing a lot of stuff from the comics. So I don't know which Cap Anthony Mackie is supposed to be, because there's probably a captain that he's representing. It's just weird for me because he was the what's the name of the other character that he played as, the Hawk something? I forget the name. He was playing bird character, whatever, and he's still that. As this Cap, he still has the wings, except he also has the shield. Does he have the super serum?
I don't know anything about.
How is he Cap without super serum?
I'm not a captain.
He's just a guy in a suit.
I'm not a comic book fan. I'm a movie fan, right? I'm a fan of the movies. Comic books weren't that big. We didn't even have a comic book store growing up in my hometown, so I never had a comic books. I just love the movies. I love the cinematic universe, at least the old one, not the new bullshit. But yeah, for me, Chris Evans is Captain America. Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark. And I don't mind the fact that he's now playing Doctor Doom. He's a great actor. He's probably going to be able to do a fucking phenomenal job out of it. But I'm still going to struggle to see him as not Iron Man, right? And especially if they try to call someone else as Iron Man, it would be like, well, the fuck is this? There's Iron Man right there. Why are you using another Iron Man here? So it feels weird, but at the same time, I couldn't care less. Because the way this works is it's star power. You need butts in seats. And so Robert Downey Jr. brings butts in seats. Yeah?
Let me ask you real quick. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, or Tom Holland? Who's the best Spider-Man?
Tom Holland. In my opinion.
No, he's not.
In my opinion, I like Tom Holland.
Andrew Garfield was the best Spider-Man, and it's not even close.
I don't agree.
It's not even close.
I like him significantly more than I did Tobey Maguire, just to be fair. But I prefer Tom Holland. I don't know. I like his character. I like his acting. He's pretty good at it. Yeah, I don't really mind. But I didn't mind Garfield in it at all. I didn't mind this. I think
because Garfield's Spider-Man was way more playful. Like there's the scenes where he's like, he would like friggin' web somebody in the nuts.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh no. Then the guy would be saying something like in the mouth. It's like, oh, it just goes off like that. Oh no, because that's kind of like the vibe of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be playful, arrogant, all that stuff. So I really liked it. But,
I do think. Anyway. I'm a bigger fan of Garfield's movie of Spider-Man than I am of any of Tom Holland's movies as Spider-Man. But as a Spider-Man, Tom Holland is a better Spider-Man to me. But that could just be bias because he was in so many more movies than Garfield was as Spider-Man. So I've just I've just accepted that he is Spider-Man in my mind. So I'm more than happy to be like, yeah, I defer. I don't really mind it at all. Either way is fine by me. But then you have, and yes, this is the movie segment of the podcast. You watched a movie last night. Want to fill us in?
Yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine. It was pretty fun. It was not exactly what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Because even the previous Deadpool movies, obviously the whole thing about Deadpool is that he knows that this is all a movie, this is all one big thing, and he breaks the fourth wall all the time. But at the same time, there's still kind of like a bit of a storyline throughout Deadpool movies.
Yeah.
And in this one, it just kind of seems like they're like, nah, bro, fuck the storyline. We don't give a shit about any of this. This is just like cool jokes, cool action scenes, go. That's it. There's like a story in there, but it's not really that important. The biggest thing is just the action scene. So it's more of like a summer blockbuster flick that you kind of go, you turn your brain off for a while and enjoy yourself. I'm sure that if you're like a Marvel mega fan, you'll identify like a million different Easter eggs that they popped up in there. And there's so many characters. The thing is, I can't even tell you what characters are in the movie because I would consider that to be a spoiler. But there's so many unexpected characters throughout the movie that you're like, wait, what? It was really just like Ryan Reynolds just went, it's like, okay, I want this one and I want this one and this one and this one and put them all together in the movie and let's go. And it's hilarious.
Nice.
I thought it was really, really fun. But again, it's one of those movies that you just go in there, you're going to laugh your ass off. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to be the most meaningful thing you've ever seen in the MCU, but it is fun as fuck. The action is really fun. I had an absolute blast watching it.
I'm a huge fan of Ryan Reynolds. So I pretty much watch everything he's in. As far as actors go, he's probably my favorite actor because he's one of the very few guys that merges serious acting with comedy in a way that is just on point every single fucking time. He can do the most serious character and then have the most precise comedic moments that just awesome, right?
I was just thinking about some of the crazy shit that's in that movie.
I will be watching it as soon as it becomes available.
Yeah, I think that people should watch it, but again, just don't go in there expecting like, oh, there's this super meaningful sort. No. It's a Deadpool movie, okay? It's just fun as shit, and it's just like crazy stuff happening all the time. It's really, really cool. And I really liked this Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
This Wolverine was really cool, and he's using the actual original outfit, which I don't think you ever see him use in other X-Men movies and shit. He always wears like the black one, or he's just not even in costume and whatnot. So in here, he actually has the original yellow suit, and it's really cool to see. It's a really big throwback. Like it was actually my wife's idea to watch the movie because I remember she didn't even want it to watch the first Deadpool movie. She was like, "Oh, that movie looks stupid," and I was like, "No, it'll be fun." And I convinced her to watch the first one, and she's been like a fan of Deadpool ever since.
Nice.
When we were watching the movie, she was like, What's that suit with Wolverine? It's such a weird suit. And I was like, that's the original yellow suit.
Yeah. That's the proper one.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll definitely be watching it. Let us know in the comments if you're watching Deadpool. Have you watched it? What do you think of the new Deadpool and Wolverine movie?
Yeah.
As a last little bit, just a very high note to end the podcast on. Good news for all of our Harry Potter fans. Bad news for all the people that wanted to cancel Harry Potter fans. There is a new job listing by Avalanche Studios that suggests Hogwarts Legacy 2 is in the making. They're busy working on the next Hogwarts Legacy. Did you play the original?
No. And it was interesting because a lot of people told me like, oh, it's smart of you not to play. I don't want to get involved in the controversy because, there was the whole controversy on the web. And I was like, actually, it's the other way around. I almost want to play it just so that people, put me on the website that you're making a fucking list like you're some fucking big brains like, oh, we gotta list these people and harass them. Fuck off. And I didn't play it because I don't like Harry Potter. I was forced to watch all the Harry Potter movies because my wife is a Harry Potter fan. And I didn't like watching them. It's not my kind of thing. It's just not my kind of thing.
I love the Harry Potter movies. Like, fuck me. The feeling of it is great. But Hogwarts Legacy is pretty good, right? The way I describe Hogwarts Legacy...
It looked pretty good from what I've seen. It was just a little bit... what did I call it? The suspension of disbelief is a little bit insane when you're just like a Hogwarts student and you're going around, abracadabra, everybody, fuck them. Abracadabra, you're dead now.
To be fair, with abracadabra, the unlock of that skill is fuck long and quite difficult to do, but you can eventually unlock it and then learn how to use it. Pretty much all of the
students.
Pretty much all of the death spells can be utilized and learned how to wield. What I love,
I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I think it's fine. I just thought it was funny,
Yeah.
But I think it's fine. It's a video game. It's whatever. Yeah, kill them. Fuck them.
But what I love about Hogwarts Legacy is the open world. The way I described Hogwarts Legacy to my brother, because at the time he was like, is this game worth playing? And I was like, okay, here's the thing. Does this game do anything new? No. Does this game move the genre of open world RPGs forward in any way, shape, or form? No. Does this game move exploration forward in any way, shape, or form? No. But it does all of those things fucking solidly.
That's all it needs to do.
Yeah.
The big thing that I would ask then is, did it have any shady microtransaction shit like some Ubisoft nonsense?
No.
'Cause if it did that, fuck them. If it didn't, that's fine.
No, as far as I know, it was literally a single game purchase and done.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
Yeah. They didn't even do, as far as I know at least, they didn't even do an expansion for it. It was just the base game, and that was the end of it. Now, I do think, some people were angry that Quidditch wasn't involved in it. They couldn't actually play Quidditch.
Because they're monetizing that shit. They're making it free to play Quidditch game. Yeah.
I know there is a Quidditch game coming that's in development. I'm not sure if it's by Avalanche Studios, but I know there is
it's somebody else.
Yeah, there is a Quidditch game coming. But they just literally said they didn't have time to develop a Quidditch game. And they did say that maybe in the future they'll add Quidditch to the game, but I think that might actually be added in season 2 or sequel of the game. We'll see, but fundamentally solid game. Anyways, that's 2 hours and 15 minutes that you have spent with me and Rurikon nerding out about video games, covering controversy and nonsense and bullshit and all the rest of it. From myself and from Rurikon and from everyone over at Mythic Banter, which is myself, Rurikon, and Naomi, and sometimes Sebi, but the motherfucker played too much Subnautica last night, so he's passed out. We want to thank you. From the bottom of our hearts, ladies and gentlemen, be good to each other. Be kind to each other. And we will see all of you in the next one. Peace.